What if Tank Davis, who can punch, who is a hell of a fighter, who is a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, what if he lands a punch on this bigger guy's chin, right, who's not a professional fighter? What happens?
They do it for real. Tank is highly capable of taking Jake Paul out. So the exhibitions that I like to see are ones that either I can mythically look at and say, wow, well, if he would have did that back when he was 10 years younger or 8 years or 12 years ago, he would have beat him. You understand me? Because we know boxing.
If he hits you because he's so accurate, he's going to drop you or put you to sleep. But like not necessarily power punch. Like Edwin De Los Santos is a hard hit. He would even have a hard time with rollies. I'm not even kidding.
Boxing legends are weighing in, and many believe Gervonta Tank Davis will destroy Jake Paul in under 3 rounds. Analyst Gareth A. Davis notes that Tank remained calm and almost detached during the press conference, barely reacting to Jake's jabs about his height. He interprets that silence not as fear, but as focus, a sign that Tank is saving his energy for the ring. Gareth predicts that once the bell rings, Davis will unleash a violent combination assault that ends the spectacle quickly and decisively, silencing Paul's taunts for good.
Went about the presser.
He reminded me of a northern football fan being dragged to a shopping centre on a Saturday afternoon rather than being allowed to go to his favourite Liverpool seat. You'll relate to that, won't you? It was almost like he'd been shackled and dragged there against his will. Even when they faced off, it was as if Jake Paul had a bad smell about him or something. He didn't want to get near Jake Paul. He didn't want to... Just going to plug this in as well. I just realised it's not plugged in. It's almost as if he didn't want to indulge anyone at all. Like he'd signed up against his will, and then like he'd been signed up against his will. The agents and his manager and his handler had dragged him there without briefing him on what was going on and where it would be and what time it would take place. And there was this oaf in his mind standing there in front of him, this big oaf who kept posturing, and he just didn't do anything to him. I wondered at one point whether he was going to burst out with a combination of punches or something and just drop Jake Paul, who was being, measuring him up and going down to his height, and it was all very peculiar in my view. Like he really wasn't taking it seriously.
Ryan Garcia has been outspoken in his criticism of the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis matchup, calling it a complete insult to the sport. Garcia argues that the massive size and weight differences make the fight more of a circus than a contest. In his view, boxing should be about skill, legacy, and fair competition, not marketing stunts. Watching a smaller fighter like Tank face a naturally bigger opponent for the sake of clicks, he says, sends the wrong message to young fighters. That hype and money outweigh discipline and respect. For Garcia, this fight isn't entertainment. It's a mockery of the craft he spent his life mastering.
Mainly Jake's, and we're not falling for the Disney Channel bit no more. We're not falling for you're not a fighter no more. We're not falling for that. You're ranked as a cruiserweight and you're out here trying to fight a lightweight. And then on top of it, you were just talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. That doesn't make no sense. And, I just felt like it was a disgrace to boxing, and kind of it was not a good move by Jake Paul. I understand people saying, Gervonta got to go get his money, blah, blah, blah. But, we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about the sport, bro. We're not talking about, he got to get that money, bro. Yeah, but everybody's open to criticism. That's the whole point of this media shit. Right. That's why they talk about basketball players. They don't talk about, LeBron's making too much. Nobody cares, bro. If LeBron's missing the shot, he's missing the fucking shot. So at the end of the day, bro, I just thought it was a disgrace to the sport. Because on one end, you got the casuals, right? The casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Yeah. And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter. Yeah. And to me, that's just... it's tricking the public, and it's kind of bullshit, bro, at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if Gervonta was Jake Paul's size, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. There probably wouldn't even be a fight. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I just think that It's a disgrace to boxing.
Well, we got to play devil's advocate because people were saying, well, Ryan, you called out Jake Paul before too, so how would you say that? What do you have to say to the people that were saying that?
Well, I'm way bigger than Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is 5'4", and his last fight was at 133. My last fight was 147. I walk around 170. So, I mean, 170 to 190, whatever, you know, however big is not too much difference. But you got Gervonta Davis, he's actually really small. Like, when I fought him, like, he's small. Yeah. So I just think it's a very unfair fight. Nobody was complaining when Jake Paul was fighting Julio Cesar Chavez. Right. Nobody was complaining when he's fighting Anthony Joshua. And I still think Jake Paul's a cool dude. But shit, he's calling me out on my shit. I'm gonna call him out on his shit, bro. That's a fucking disgrace of a fight. Yeah. You know it. Just like the Mike Tyson low key was a disgrace, but we accepted it. But yeah, he was 60 years old. I mean, right. What the fuck are we talking about here?
That's crazy.
Veteran champion Sean Porter takes a broader view, saying the matchup reflects where boxing is heading. In his eyes, today's generation is chasing fast paychecks instead of lasting greatness. Porter believes Tank Davis, one of the most gifted fighters alive, has joined the growing list of boxers prioritizing brand deals and quick cash over legacy fights. He laments that legends once risked their records to earn immortality, while modern fighters chase social media relevance. For Porter, Tank's decision to face Jake Paul symbolizes the sport's shifting soul, from glory to commerce, from greatness to gimmicks.
But why are you doing that? How do you sort of see this scenario now for him?
Yeah, I don't really know how to feel about it, what to really say about it. I've only been asked this when it's presented to me. That's when I think about it. And I can't really come up with a good answer for it. In a lot of ways, it doesn't make sense to me. Of course, we know the size differential and the kind of the list goes on from there. I don't know, man. I think we're entering a generation now, or a phase now where fighters, I don't know if it's fighters, I don't know if he doesn't care about the legacy, or if he feels like this fight doesn't matter, I'll get back to the legacy. I just don't know. This is truly it's not a legacy fight, but of course it is a generational money fight, so.
Many experts argue the real problem isn't just the fighters, it's the fans. They claim that today's audience rewards spectacle over substance, tuning in for trash talk, not technique. As a result, true boxing artistry often goes unnoticed, while exhibition bouts and influencer fights dominate headlines. Analysts say the Jake Paul phenomenon reflects this fan-driven shift. Chaos sells, and serious boxers lose motivation to take risky fights for respect. The line between sport and showbiz has blurred. Champions fight for belts, influencers fight for clicks. As long as fans keep paying for the spectacle, entertainment will keep outweighing excellence.
Boxing has evolved to where it's at. I'll expand on that. For one, you have good fights, where I'm not talking about these type of fights, crossover type of fight, former Disney guy, influencer stuff, not. And Jake Paul has really promoted himself and acquitted himself to the point where he's kind of a boxer. Now, he hasn't fought the top names, I get it, blah, blah, blah. But he's doing his thing. He's training like a boxer. He's not like taking it lightly, like streaming and then working on his YouTube more than he's working on his boxing. It is what it is, right? But beyond that, let's keep it going. I told you I'm about to really get unpacked. Subscribe to the channel. The reality is, the reason why I'm saying I blame you, the fans, is because we've had some very good fights, like David Benavidez, Caleb Plant, whatever. I'm talking in the last 5-10 years, right? Very good fights, all boxing. So not talking influencer or any type of crossover fight, right? Good fights. And then you got boxing fans in a niche sport who didn't further the exposure by advertising or buying the fight, mostly buying the fight with piracy and whatnot. So now we're at a point in this society where these companies, they're like, all right, they see the piracy is a problem. Now they're looking for a sure shot, must win type of scenarios. That's why we're getting these
fights that some people, purists and diehards, are calling wonky fights. You know what I mean? It is your fault.
He's better than Tank. I don't even know how you cannot have him better than Tank. People question Tank's resume anyway. But if you make Tank take a knee and they don't call it a knockdown and you still get the draw, you beat him. You beat Tank. And then you dominate Pitbull, one of Tank's best wins. Bruh, you better than him. The resume, listen, bruh. I didn't say greater. I said better. The resume means politics. Ryan was just saying it. Lamont Roach could have been on a back burner and they were holding him back, so he had to go down to 130, doing the grunt work like Marvelous Marvin Hagler, waiting for his time to shine. Resume, if the business chooses you, they can move you along right. He actually get cherry picked and he best Tank, and then he stops Pitbull. He's better. Y'all know how the business of boxing works. You just saw Terrence Crawford actually be the best fighter we've seen in decades. The man, Terrence Crawford, can arguably be better than Floyd Mayweather. Y'all saw the business shitting for all of his career, practically all of his career. And you see that he's better than Nello? What a surprise! We've been a guy coming from lightweight can beat Nello at super middleweight.
How do I even start to break down a Tank Davis versus Jake Paul fight? Tank, a massively powerful fighter at 135 pounds, but his punch output is among the lowest in the sport. Jake has a pretty decent punch output for a guy that's 200 pounds. He hits hard in his own right, but doesn't have the skill and capabilities anywhere close, or the feet, or the hand speed, or the eyes anywhere close to Tank Davis, but has a power that Tank Davis has probably never felt, but just because Jake is naturally 70 pounds bigger than him, right? So 10 rounds, 3 minutes, who starts to show the wear and tear first? I know if Tank touches him on the jaw, it's probably not going to feel like roses, regardless if he's 135 or 150 or whatever he steps in that night. He's still a Tank and has still put guys down as he's gone up in weight, but Jake is just so much bigger. How much will the power that Tank has at the lower weight classes affect